For the most part, it was the taking care of people who had saved up for months or years to come there with their family, and something goes off the rails, and you get to be the person who commiserates a little bit, but also can redirect that. And that's a powerful thing.
Definitely.
And something that we forget how important that is to a family.
Welcome back to Experience Imagination. I'm your host, Audrey DeLong. We have a treat for you guys today. I recently had a chance to talk to Mitchell Magill, the president of Falcon's creative group. Mitchell joined our team in August of 2025, and he's already had a huge impact. This interview was so much fun. Mitchell shared stories about his life in themed entertainment and lessons he's learned. He offered advice on empowerment, and he even told me which marine animal is his favorite. His diverse history includes designing, developing, and operating location-based entertainment, immersive attractions, theatrical productions, and large-scale events. A career highlight was serving as a senior creative director, executive producer, and IP guardian for SeaWorld Abu Dhabi. That park is one of the most ambitious entertainment destinations ever developed. And it's also the world's largest indoor marine life theme park, so you know I had questions for Mitchell about that. Also, you'll want to stick around for our lightning round because I have Kristen Trevino, Digital Delivery Production Coordinator for Falcons. Mitchell, hello.
Hello.
Good to have you here.
Thanks. It's great to be here.
All right, I finally got you on the podcast. So we've been talking about this for a little while. Tell us about your journey in themed entertainment. Where did it all begin?
So I came up through theater as a kid. I performed professionally. Started when I was about 7 or 8 doing Oliver and a handful of kind of community productions and school productions. And then that turned into some paid gigs that one thing led to another through school. I came actually to Florida to go to college and got a job on the Jungle Cruise. And that was kind of the beginning of themed entertainment.
Oh, definitely.
Grew up super poor.
Yeah.
But the one thing that my grandfather always wanted to do was come down here and go to Disney every year. And it was always because of us, because of the kids, right? Yeah. We would go out and stay on 192 and one of the, kind of motor lodge motels from the space
Plenty
age.
To choose from, yeah.
And then go to Disney as much as we could and some of the other local attractions around here. So I grew up wanting to either spiel on the trams, because I always thought they were funny, going into Walt Disney World, or to do the Jungle Cruise.
Yeah.
As soon as I got down here, went over to casting and said, I want to do the Jungle Cruise. And they say, no one ever wants to do that.
What?
Because it's hot. It's outside. It's in, Florida weather.
Well, true, but it seems like one of the best gigs if you're a performer.
It's so much fun. Like, I would go back and do it part-time now just because it was a lot of fun.
Well, that was early on your career. You've climbed the ranks since then, let's just say.
It's been a journey. I just kept saying yes,
All right. So we're going to talk about your SeaWorld days.
Okay.
I mean, I think on your LinkedIn you list it as a highlight. SeaWorld Abu Dhabi.
Yeah. SeaWorld Abu Dhabi was an adventure. In my mind, nothing could be more timely. The intention of that park was we are all connected to the ocean, and the ocean connects us all, which on the surface seems kind of simplistic. But when you think about the way that we thought about the ocean, which is all water on Earth. That's not just the big ocean basins, the Atlantic and the Pacific, et cetera. It's the ocean up in the atmosphere, down, underground, and plants and animals inside of our human bodies.
Right.
And then we revisit that statement, we're all connected to the ocean connects all of us. That's water that's always changing forms. It's always in motion, whether it's in ice caps or it's in your body or mine,
right.
That we're literally connected in this kind of beautiful tapestry dance and interconnected in a way that is important that we all have to protect. That was something that I just fell in love with, to be able to hang out with scientists and interpreters like Scott Gass internally and really understand why the world works the way it works and try to interpolate that down to something that anybody, whether you're 6 or 60, can make it part of your life.
Yeah.
that was something I really care about and clearly still have a heart for.
Yeah, well, you're making me jealous because it sounds like an
Yeah.
awesome project to work on. What was your role exactly?
I came on as the corporate director of entertainment and guest experience. So live entertainment, media development, anything that you really kind of see and interact with throughout the park as a guest. One-on-one, that was my portfolio, I guess you would call it. We had so many amazing groups of people from Thinkwell, from PGAV, from Holoviz, Four Wall. That list just goes on and on and on. Ellis Don, who came together and they all bought into that idea. We're all connected to the ocean. They took it on in the same kind of inspiration and impact that we brought to the table as SeaWorld. And I think that was kind of the connective thread and tissue that we were all in it with a purpose and a mission. And it became the best project that I've ever done in my life.
Yeah. Well, that is something that's going to be hard to top. In your opinion, what are the most important considerations when bringing an established IP into a new market?
It's the why, right? It's easy to get into an IP and see what it is or what you think it is or what your experience of that IP is. And we've talked about a lot of them already. Disney, SeaWorld. There's some amazing Universal's just filled with incredible IP.
Yeah.
But why did it become what it is? What makes it important to its audience? And if you can really dig into the heart of it, then the what makes a lot more sense.
I love that answer. You know, SeaWorld's known for their animal care.
Yep.
And their rescues, rehabilitations, and just animals in general on the shows. But they also have some really crazy roller coasters.
Yeah.
Like terrifying.
Well, I guess it's all perspective.
Well, to me.
Thrilling.
Yes, thrilling is another good word. What's your favorite one?
Oh my gosh. Manta's still the one that I like the most, where you're like here in Orlando.
Yeah.
Although the Manta in SeaWorld Abu Dhabi is pretty amazing as well.
Oh, okay.
It's a whole different coaster that's more about kind of like airtime. And I like that one because it's heavily themed out as well. But Manta here in Orlando, I think it's just because it threw me off the first time I rode it.
Yeah.
And it still
You're in
does,
an awkward position.
right? You know, it folds you up under, so you're like riding on the underbelly of the Manta all the way through it. That's part of it, but part of it is also because I think that team who created it did such an amazing job kind of mixing it with the animal habitat. So as you're going through there, you're experiencing this amazing multi-species habitat. So it's not just rays, but you've got this array of different species all kind of living together in this aquaria environment, and you're really surrounded by it. And then you're put on board the vehicle, which is the Manta, and they've done such a great job kind of capturing the motion of, the somersaults that a Manta would do underwater. So it blends that, what I like to call fun with benefits, a little tongue in cheek,
but
kind of purposeful entertainment all together in a seamless way.
Okay. Well, I have two what did you learn questions about SeaWorld Abu Dhabi. So what did you learn about marine life that you didn't know before this job? And what did you learn about guest experience design?
Wow. Two big questions.
Yeah.
So marine life, it's the 50,000 foot view, right? It's the global view of how truly interconnected everything on this planet is. And the more that you learn about one little piece of it, the more you're amazed at how all of the rest of it functions.
Interesting.
One thing you notice when you go, particularly in the summer and the hot seasons, is that there's dust. It's not so much sandstorms, but you get dust storms and it sits in the air. And these are ancient oceans.
Yeah.
And all of this dust and the sand comes from ancient oceans and is filled with all kinds of amazing minerals. And it gets sucked up into the atmosphere, all the way up into the troposphere. And as the world turns, ends up over the Amazon, which is where it hits those giant rivers, Amazonian rivers in the sky of cloud. And then it falls back down into the Amazon and becomes the fertilizer that becomes the other lung of the planet, which is where we're getting all of the oxygen half of the oxygen comes from the ocean, from phytoplankton, half of the oxygen comes from plant life on the surface. And so that type of interconnectivity
Yeah.
is just beautiful and hard to communicate. And that was a lot of what I found the most inspiring, if nothing else, about not just marine life, but just kind of life on Earth.
Yeah, really cool stuff.
Yeah.
And guest experience, what did you learn?
What is really impactful about guest experience is the stuff that maybe gets the least attention. It's the stuff you don't necessarily think about. One of my favorite parts of this project was being able to focus on things like soundscape. So you may not notice that the park is going from day to night, but the lighting shifts as you're inside of that building to make it feel realistic to be outdoors. So we were able to shift from morning to night. Even the backdrops across each of the realms has like a low resolution LED, and we brought in artists to draw every hour of the day. On digital screens that you never see behind those backdrops that are changing the lighting and the color as the sun rises and sets throughout the day. And you'll hear the animals change. So it might be seabirds in the morning in Abu Dhabi Ocean that shift into cicadas in the evening. And it's all of that texture, that thing that impacts how you feel, but doesn't necessarily register in what you're thinking about.
Yeah.
That I think does a lot of heavy lifting and storytelling. And I think often gets missed when you're just looking at it on paper or spreadsheets.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's that tone and texture.
It sounds like a very sensory experience going to SeaWorld Abu Dhabi.
Very much so.
Yeah. It gives me a reason to go to Abu Dhabi, for sure.
Please.
All right. We're going to move on to, so you held multiple leadership roles, creative roles within Royal Caribbean, for instance. So tell us how working with a cruise line is similar to and different from working with a theme park brand.
Yeah, I've worked with a few different cruise lines over the years, with Princess recently and with Royal Caribbean, mostly in producer roles with them. And it's very different. Onboard a ship is very contained. It's a built environment that has to operate 365 days a year. You never get to close off part of it to do the work like you would in a theme park, where we can close an attraction or a realm and put in some more entertainment over here and really just tear it down and rebuild it and imagine it from the ground up. Or if you get those opportunities, it's very limited. It's got to be done very quickly so the ship gets back out to sea.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it is trying to get really creative within the box that you have. And I'll say Royal Caribbean does an amazing job at kind of reimagining ship after ship in the new build world, but also even looking back at the ships that have already been in their fleet for some time, how those spaces could be brought to life in new ways. Christy and the team over there are just brilliant at constantly reimagining that world. But you also have a limited number of people that you can work with. At a theme park, you can bring in folks from outside. You can work overnight. You don't have to worry about where they're going to sleep or eat.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so you've only got so many cabins on board. So while it's in operation, that's a huge consideration is, how many people can you get on? When? Where is the ship going to be around the world? The logistics of getting things that are being constructed over here onto that ship, making sure that they meet the extremely high safety guidelines. So you've got to be careful for fire safety is the number one thing on board a ship. And so it has a much higher stringent standard for any type of built product that's brought on board, and making sure that all of the suppliers understand that and can meet that. It's a different world, but because you have this closed ecosystem of people who are there to have fun, right? It's a similar audience to a theme park. You've got this really special opportunity where you can also build on that experience from one experience to the next, because they're living in it. They're not just there for the day.
Yeah, the performers, you mean. Yeah.
Well, the performers, but also your audience, your guest.
Yeah.
Because your guests are going to be there for 3, 4, 7, sometimes up to 30 days at a time. And so you have an opportunity not just once to have that impact with them, but to build on it and then change it and then evolve it. And you get to know them and they get to know you.
Yeah. The shows are amazing on cruise ships. I love the Royal
Yeah,
shows. They do a good job. I can't really
a lot of
speak
the
to
different
other
cruise
cruise
lines,
lines,
yeah.
but yeah, that's the one I have experience with. So a little while after you started at Falcons, you and I sat down.
Yeah.
We had a little off-mic chat. But you told me that early in your career, and we talked about it here, you worked as a performer at Walt Disney World. So how did those experiences shape who you are today? And what lessons did you learn during that time that influenced you?
So my first job at Walt Disney World was actually on the Jungle Cruise. That job, I think, probably shaped me more in some ways than even performing at Disney. Because that job, yes, I got to be in front of the guest. I got to spiel, and maybe I went off book a little bit here and there. But for the most part, it was the daily interaction. It was the taking care of people who had saved up for months or years to come there with their family, and something goes off the rails, and you get to be the person who commiserates a little bit, but also can redirect that. And that's a powerful thing.
Definitely.
And something that, we forget how important that is to a family when you're in the daily operation, that you have the power to take this really important moment in someone's life and get it back on the rails and create some kind of really special magic that they weren't expecting to begin with.
Yeah. That's a good skill to have, turning down the temperature.
I believe everybody should work in food service at some point in their life.
Same.
There's a little bit of just the intensity. Like I said, I came up through theater, so I was an actor, so I waited tables.
Yep. I did too.
You're dealing with people who are coming in hungry, and that's not always good for the emotional person. But also, you are dealing with that logistics and trying to move things along. And I believe everybody should work in operations, guest service at some point as well, for that same kind of really learning to care about
it's
the
empathy.
person who's going through something.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I have a question about future-proofing.
Okay.
How do you know that what you design today will engage audiences 5, 10, 15 years from now?
That's the question, right?
Yeah, definitely.
That's the one that I think everyone is always trying to solve. And I think you do the best you can. You look at what's ahead. You try to stay in the world of futurism and what's on the horizon. You make the best decisions that you can. A lot of these long projects that we're talking about, you've got to start looking out and going, okay, what is the last responsible moment I can make a decision? So when we're talking technology, we know year over year it's going to advance, and that curve is getting, higher and higher,
Faster
or steeper and
faster,
steeper,
yeah.
right? That technology is evolving. And so we find a last responsible moment that we can make the decision to put in, whatever type of technology we need in the park. And then that way, at least we're setting the park up for the longest period of service before they have to reimagine it. But even beyond that, some of it's, I think, also looking back to what makes us us. And I'll give you an example. So I was sat down with Carol Cimino. She was one of our production managers at SeaWorld Orlando. And I was really excited when I first came on to Abu Dhabi. And I'm going through showing her parts of the renderings of what we were looking to do at the concept level. And she stops at what was called Sea of Delight at the time. And she just looks up at me and she goes, "Oh my gosh, you're building a kid's realm, not just a kid's land, but like a whole part of the park that's just for kids that won't be born for decades to come." And it just kind of hit me in the face. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how do we do that? And so I spent a lot of time thinking about, like, what did I want as a kid? And what I wanted was to be treated not like a kid. I wanted to be treated like my big brother. I think we all are kind of aspirational at that age. And so we went back and really did a lot of hard looking at what we were doing at that time. And that's where Micro Ocean came from. We looked a little ahead. What are kids doing today? They're living in video games. They're living in VR. They're living in the digital world. And then how do we create a physical world that takes some of that inspiration, that makes it want to be aged up to be, play like my big brother or sister,
Interesting.
but is also really tactile and and goes back to the core of what's important to kids, and that's play. And I'd say kids of all ages. We don't do that enough. From an educational standpoint, play is learning. And I want to be explicit that that's not play as learning, because we often want to just throw in interpretives and things to say we've ticked the box that this educational thing has happened. But this is play is learning. That by playing, by interacting with other kids, by meeting kids I don't know on the playground, I'm creating all of these skills that organically can't just be taught to me.
Right.
And so it's going to the core of what's important as a kid, the core of what are kids doing today and where's that kind of going? And then, what was my own experience? What's the gut that I can take to it as a creator, as a designer, and then bring in all of the other creators and designers and start bringing in their ideas and concepts and their own emotional background and insight. And that's where you get, one of my favorite parts of the park, and I'm a little biased, is Micro Ocean.
It's still there, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about your work at Falcons. So what are you most excited about as you help shape the future of our design and media teams here?
I'm excited about the people. As I was going out and looking for what was next in the world for me, I wrote down on a piece of paper, I'm like, I want to work where good people are doing the right thing for the right reasons. It felt just from the very beginning that from Cecil and the board and everyone that I had met, that everyone was doing the right thing for the right reason. And yes, it's being responsible to the business, but it's also being extremely responsible to the creative, to the process, to the individuals who create the work, to the clients and the IP holders that we're working with. And it's good people doing the right thing for the right reasons. And that is what excites me. It's the reason I get up and come in every morning. The unique purview that I have right now, I'm unbelievably excited about where this organization's going.
Well, you are one of our creative leaders, near the top of that food chain. So how do you approach creative leadership, and what qualities do you think are important to have?
Great ideas come from everywhere. I don't love having a charrette that's just all creative directors or all are direct. Like, I really want a diversity of insight and background and people and experience, because that's our audience. I want to have, in a perfect world, I'd love to have kids in there. I'd love to have, as
sure,
much.
that can be accomplished.
You have to be a little bit crazy, but it would be a lot of fun, because then you get all of these really interesting ideas that may feel a little off the wall in the moment, but what you're getting is perspective. And the real genius, I think, in creative direction anywhere is about being a great editor. It's about being someone who understands and can help a client or an IP holder really coalesce what their kind of grand vision is, and then finding all of the bits and pieces and great ideas that exist within the consortium of talent that you have, and picking just the right ones to put, that puzzle together until you have something special and unique that can't come from anywhere else.
Okay. Nice perspective there. So usually when I sit down for interviews like this, I normally ask what advice you'd give to somebody who's looking to get into themed entertainment. I'm going to put a different spin on that question for you, Mitchell. So when you interview a candidate for a creative position, what do you make sure to ask them?
Usually it's two questions. It's what do you want to do today? What inspires you to come into the office or come into the studio and work? Like, why do you get up and do this? That's always an interesting, perspective of what drives someone. And I love to know, because not every day is going to be the big, exciting, we're going to solve some huge attraction. Some days are trying to figure out how to, we've gone over budget and we've got to figure out how to cut back and we've got to get creative. And there's going to be some long periods where we're waiting for feedback. And there's got to be something that drives you personally to want to keep going and to do the next thing and to really stay engaged and active. And then conversely, what don't you like to do? Like, what's the thing
Yeah.
that really makes it hard to get out of bed and come in the morning?
Mhm.
So that we kind of understand where the right fit is. Because I had conversation with Kevin from our team yesterday over lunch, and he loves living in spreadsheets and numbers.
Yeah,
And
weirdo.
I love him for it.
Yeah. No, we need people like that.
But I do a lot of that myself. But I know that there are people who that would be an absolute nightmare for them to come in and just stare at spreadsheets and build business models all day.
I'm raising my hand.
Rick's got his hand up as well. But it excites him. He gets out of bed because he likes to solve that puzzle and figure out how to make it possible for all of us to produce audio content or social content or media content or theme park design. And so it's figuring out the right pieces in the puzzle to make the picture work.
Yeah. Well, you've talked about empowering creative teams. What are the most important steps to truly empower individuals, and how do you know it's working?
Oh, I think empowering creative teams are finding the right person for the right role. It is then giving them the tools they need to do their job and supporting them to do it. We often put roadblocks up in our own way, or we let roadblocks get put up in front of us, and that can be from any number of outside sources. And it's figuring out either ways around those or ways through those to just keep going one foot in front of the other. It's saying yes to stuff that may not seem super exciting all the time. I think one of the reasons that I've been able to move into some of these really cool opportunities is because I kept saying yes. And I kept saying yes to things that weren't necessarily sexy opportunities sometimes, where I wanted to be directing shows or designing content. The world wasn't doing those things at that time. So I started working on licensing or archiving or contract work. And I got this great kind of base of skills in things that I wasn't looking to do, but really helped with all the things I wanted to do in the future.
Oh, yeah. That's really good advice. Here's the most important question of all. What is your favorite marine animal and why?
Polar bear.
Oh,
because
okay.
they're just super cool animals.
I love them.
I don't have any really good, like, thoughtful, scientific. I just like polar bears.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough to get to go help film for an attraction about a year and a half ago, and got to tick off my bucket list item of actually seeing a polar bear relatively up close. Luckily from a ship. He was out on the ice, but in person.
Wow.
It was dramatic. We got to see him like hunt down a seal and catch it, and
male polar bear.
Have dinner, and then bury it in the ice and sleep by it so he could finish it in the morning. That's
cool.
It was wild,
yeah,
literally,
definitely wild. Yeah, can't get more wild than that. Well, thanks for doing this. Appreciate your time.
And I appreciate you. Thank you.
And now it's time for our lightning round, where I have a quick conversation with one of our Falcons. We're here with Kristen Trevino, Digital Delivery Production Coordinator for Falcon's Creative Group. Hi.
Hi, Audrey.
Welcome to the podcast. Now, Kristen, you have not seen or heard these questions, correct?
I have not seen or heard these questions.
Okay. So the first question is, you earned your Master of Fine Arts in Themed Entertainment Design from SCAD. Mm-hmm. As a college student, what was your favorite thing to do in Savannah?
Ooh, eat. Honestly, they had amazing food there. Like, their Asian food was so good. I had my favorite, like, noodle place. That was my comfort food. I didn't even realize it was my comfort food until I realized every time after I had, like, a project, I was just like, I'm going to go to Flying Monk and I'm going to get my Nana noodles.
Ooh, Flying Monk, huh?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So good.
I like the sound of it.
Yeah.
What's your favorite theme park ride of all time?
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Ah, that's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
I like that one too, a lot.
Was so good.
If you were going to make a living as a professional performer, what do you think your discipline would be?
Whenever I was growing up, I wanted to be in musicals.
A performing singer.
Yes, a performing singer.
Okay, you have a great voice.
Thank you.
Next question. Describe the themed entertainment industry in one word.
crazy.
Okay. If you worked in a zoo, which animal would you most like to care for?
Oh my gosh, otters.
That was quick.
I love otters. They're my favorite animal. And also, I used to work at Disney's Animal Kingdom. So I've always been a big fan of animals.
Yeah, I love the otters there.
I really love
I always have to say hello to them
their
when I
tiny
go.
little hands.
I know.
Oh, I love that.
All right. If you could design a queue line for a famous intellectual property, which one would it be?
Honestly, right now, K-pop Demon Hunters. Obsessed with that movie so much. It's fantastic.
Okay. The next question is, which city or country would you most like to visit?
One that I'm planning to go to is Japan. Another one that's on the list is Greece.
Two good ones. You'll have a good time either place, I'm sure.
Very different.
Yes, definitely. Okay, last question. If you could only eat one theme park snack for the rest of your life, which one would it be?
Oh my God. Mickey ice cream sandwich.
Okay.
Just classic, nostalgic. So good.
Well, Kristen, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
That'll do it for this episode of Experience Imagination. Thanks again to Mitchell and Kristen, and thank you all for listening. We'll be back soon with a brand new episode. Thank you for listening to Experience Imagination, a Falcon's Creative Group production. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the podcast. Be sure to check out falconscreativegroup.com and follow us on Instagram, X, Facebook, and LinkedIn. If you have ideas for future episodes or just want to drop us a message, send an email to podcast@falconscreativegroup.com.